Welcome to Luminocity, everyone. I'm Andy Kraft.
And I'm Jordan Stevens. Thanks for joining us.
So today, Luminocity is spotlighting Heal Charlotte, which is addressing several issues in Charlotte, one community at a time. We are here with the founder, Greg Jackson. Greg was actually a rapper and a sous chef back when the police shooting of Keith Lamont Scott occurred in September of 2016. Greg showed up with a few others to protest the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department at its headquarters the day after the shooting. But then, talked about a crucial conversation that happened that changed his trajectory and led to the formation of what is known today as Heal Charlotte. So thank you for joining us today, Greg. We are really excited to talk with you. I think that intro just scratches the surface of your story. So we'd love to hear, kind of in your own words, what inspired you to start Heal Charlotte?
It's a mixture between uprise, God, the transformation of life, seeing disparities everywhere in my neighborhood, and getting a lot of spotlight and attention in 2016 that I didn't think was warranted to my life at that moment. I absolutely did not sow a seed in anyone's life previously before the protests. And I don't think I deserved the spotlight that I did get at that moment, just because of a conversation when there was just hundreds of organizations that have been working previously before me and doing so much work. I feel like, they deserve to have that spotlight. And being that I got thrown into the limelight of it, and I got a lot of social capital from it. I vowed to myself that I would make sure that wasn't in vain, and I would respect the cause and give it the type of respect that it actually deserves and the attention that it deserves. So a lot of that was just me realizing I had no business being on television, down right there and getting the spotlight that I did get.
Yeah. So when you first started the organization, though, did you sort of have an idea for what it was going to be, or has that really then, evolved over time based on what you're saying, like that, the fact that this wasn't really something you were expecting?
Yeah, no, it's definitely evolved. I mean, when we first started, we were the Charlotte Community Coalition. We were a group of guys that met protesting that wanted to bridge the gap between city officials, laborers, and the actual citizens of the community, to bring everybody at the table to have that universal conversation of where do we go from here? How do we make a better social impact? How do we have better community relations with the police department as a Black community? Where do we go? And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to impact training, educating officers, educating the community, and breaking the stigma that both parties had, that stopped us from communicating and stopped us from building trust. And that's what we wanted to do. And then Heal Charlotte just kind of evolved and spiraled out of us doing that. After we peeled off one layer of the onion, we started to having to peel off more layers, and we just started to realize, man, there's a bigger healing that needs to happen than just communication at a table. There's so many entities and institutions that play a role in, systemic racism and people not being able to have upward mobility in the city. And it's not just community relations with the police department. It's where the banking puts the fundings at. It's where the education lies, the digital divide, the opportunities for employment, social entrepreneurship, just all of those things just played a role in it. And we were like, okay, we're putting a Band-Aid on gunshot wounds. How do we really heal the community? How do we become these social surgeons, and really, fix the wounds?
That's well said. I think it's more than just one thing that needs fixing. It's several things that needs addressed. Yeah. And clearly you're very passionate about our community in the city of Charlotte. Are you native to Charlotte, or how did you make your way here?
Yeah, no, I'm from the Bronx, New York. I've been out here for 10 years. My mother lived out here previously. So my little brother, my little sister, they were out here. Shout out to them. I love y'all. And I was in New York struggling on the other side of the tracks. I did a year on Rikers Island. You know, I was literally in the streets living like that. So, and learning as I was going on how to be a man in America, a black man in America, how to be a father, you know, what to do, what not to do, and made a lot of wrong decisions in my earlier path as a young adult. And moving to Charlotte, my mom called me and she said, man, you know, what you're paying for a room in New York, you can get a 1-bedroom apartment out here. And that's when Charlotte had 1-bedroom apartments for about $700. Like that was like normal. Mm-hmm. So I jumped at the opportunity when I came down here. And then my family already had their feet wet in the city. So I just knew people then at that moment. My brother's friends became my friends. My mother's friends. I just, you know, it was easy. We had family out here. So yeah. I started to transform as a man in Charlotte. So New York raised me, but I became a man in Charlotte. So I call this home.
That's awesome. Awesome to hear. And would you say that your upbringing, though, and that experience, it impacts your work today and what you're doing through Heal Charlotte?
Absolutely. A lot of the stuff with our youth program that we started in my neighborhood, just me and my partner, Antoine Smith, we were just two guys that wanted to give kids something that we didn't have when we were growing up, and which is a consistent, positive male role model in your life that wants better for you at all times. And I think wanted to provide that for kids. And a lot of what we do is looking around and saying, well, what did we have? What didn't we have? And how do we provide the good stuff? And then how do we replace the bad stuff? So everybody has a fair shot, you know, at being the best that they can be. Right.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like you've kind of started to explore many different areas of healing Charlotte. I mean, through your experience so far in serving the community, where do you feel like Charlotte is hurting the most?
Oh, man. So, and it changed, man, over the years. At first it was, you know, community relations with the police department, which I think is still very vital, right? It's something that really needs to happen on an everyday basis. But there's so many organizations that pour into that. And then we thought it was youth development. But there's so many organizations that do youth development. There's so many that I know, after school programs, in school programs, you name it, it's there. As we started to go down a rabbit hole, it was housing. Housing was, I can be with the kid 3 hours out the day, but if they have to go back into a house that is dysfunctional, a house that is, there's no security, there's no stability.
Or a car, you know, sometimes it's going back to a car.
Yeah, or not going back to a house, right? And you're living in homelessness, you know, and it's, when I got into that field of, I lost my first family in 2017 to an eviction. And we had our youth program, and this is something I never thought of when I got into doing youth programming and mentoring kids. Nothing ever went in my head and said, oh, what if they get evicted and then you lose a kid? And then they have to go and find another coach and get another safety net. And like the whole thing restarts for this family. And when it happened, it hit me like a brick, you know, that, oh, wow, kids can have all of the programming that they could possibly have in the world, but there's no security at the home. Then, so we started this program called Heal a Home, where we started paying rent for the families that were connected to the youth program. And as long as the families were connected to the youth program, had a part-time or full-time job, we will be able to give some type of assistance. So we were crisis before families went to crisis assistance in my neighborhood. We stopped 20 evictions, 4 padlocks, 4 writs in 2 years, and added some financial literacy classes with Commonwealth Charlotte.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Socioeconomics class. So we don't just pay your rent we're giving you ways to actually fish for yourself. Teach a person how to fish.
Right.
They will learn how to feed themselves forever. So we said, let's do that too. And the Heal a Home program has been very, very successful. Families have now, they are sustaining, they're sustained by themselves now. And they have all of the wraparound services that they need. So housing is the crisis that we're in. We're in an affordable housing crisis. So that's where I'm at, right under systemic racism and capitalism. Housing is right there for me.
Yeah, it's interesting because housing, I mean, like you said, that's kind of the place where, kids can go back. And if that's an insecure, unstable place, then that's going to make an impact on their lives and their growth. And
Absolutely.
The thing is with like evictions, sometimes it's just a matter of like a few days or a few weeks, or you're just in a rough spot. And then that one eviction can just send you on a downward spiral that just change your life and your kids' lives forever. Yeah. I work with it. We should touch base after this. I work with an organization called Families Forward Charlotte. We're trying to help families with upward mobility. We offer financial assistance. We do workshops. We work with Commonwealth on that. We help the families, put together a budget, help them fill out, job applications, put together a resume, help them navigate, because there's so many resources in Charlotte, but who has the time, especially people that are living paycheck to paycheck, trying to avoid eviction? How are they going to, when are they going to have time to go online and look at all these resources and look at, what organizations are doing this, which organizations are doing that? So we provide kind of mentorship to those families. But I think and what we found through that is, I've been with them for like 2 years. It could be just one moment that just sends everything out of control. And if you can just step in and provide some support and some assistance, it's often housing related. Almost always it's housing related that kind of kicks everything off. Then you can prevent a lot of things from happening. And it's a generational thing, right? If you can heal, parents, or a parent, that's going to make an impact on the kids' lives. So I think in housing is at the crux of that, or one of the crux of that.
Yeah, no, it is, man. It's how do you expect a kid to remember everything that you pour into them for 3 hours when the next 12 hours is full of disparity? How do they remember to keep integrity, find their passions? They don't have time to worry about their passions. They don't have time to think about their purpose, or building a legacy, because they're surrounded by, drugs, prostitution, it's paraphernalia. It's just a bunch of stuff that tells them they're not going to make it out of this situation. And, you can still instill as much hope as you can, but until people see the hope, it's hard for them to actually, it's not edified, you can't eat it. It doesn't give anything to your palate. So that's what we wanted to be able to do. And that's what we're working to do right now, is to provide housing for families in need, to help these children that don't see hope, so they can see hope and they can have some sustainability in their lives, to be able to be the best kids that they can be, the best citizens that they can be.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. I mean, they're in survival mode, and there has to be this sort of prioritization. It's not that those other programs and those other services don't matter, but like you said, you've got to work your way down the layers, or there's going to be a gap there for those kids' experience of, like you said. I love that idea of, there are so many great organizations doing wonderful work with teaching kids about how to, find your passion and things like that. But if they don't have that security, then where does that lead? And that would be really a great segue. We would love to talk to you a bit, with the shift in prioritization and focus for Heal Charlotte to housing. We know through some media that you've got a capital campaign going on that has launched. Can you talk to us through that? What's going on there through Heal Charlotte?
Man, it's really a true evolution of the organization. there's so many layers to why we're doing this Heal Charlotte campus. First layer is God driven. I got woke up 2 months in a row, bro, at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, just constant vision of there needs to be a revitalization on 85 in Sugar Creek. There needs to be a revitalization on 85 in Sugar Creek. You are going to bring a revival to 85 in Sugar Creek. And then it's as I dropped one of my kids off in my program at a hotel where she's staying at. And I'm looking at the hotel, and I just got pissed off that she lived there. Like I got real upset that she lived there. And then talking to the hotels in the area and trying to get them to change their business acumen, change their target audience, make it safer. And a lot of the businesses over there were just cool with the type of traffic that was over there, right? And it wasn't conducive to anybody. It's not productive for anyone over there. And then having these conversations with God at 3 o'clock in the morning and, trying to figure out where do we fit in if we're going to get into housing, and then what makes sense. And as I was looking at the crisis and I was looking at all this ground up construction that was happening, and I was saying that doesn't fix the immediate problem. These ground up construction plans are 2 years, 3 years out.
Right.
And they're only giving 10 to 12% of the building to actual, that 40% AMI. And these families aren't getting served that need to get served. And one day I looked at the hotel and something just said, Terry, buy the hotel. Take over what's already built. Why not? Why aren't we taking over the properties that are already built and put together? Why aren't we doing it?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we started to do the numbers on the hotel. And the hotel was cheaper than buying units. It was, wow. The average hotel you can buy for $3.5 million, and the average complex is quadruple more than that. So, and as I started to do the numbers, I said, oh, this makes sense. I get why hotels get into hotel business. What if we transformed the hotel and used it for transitional living? What if we housed the people that we were serving and did true affordable housing, $600 a month, really opened it up to those families that we campaigned to get housing trust fund dollars for? And what if we did a Community Matters Cafe? What if we did a Charlotte rescue mission on 85 in Sugar Creek? What if we did that? What if there was an Advent co-working space on this campus? And that's all it is. It's an Advent co-working space mixed with a Charlotte rescue mission, ran by the people that actually live in the community and know the needs of the community. And then I started to look around at wraparound services and the nonprofit organizations that are in this area. And one thing we don't have is a home. We don't own a building, and I hang around, Todd Tibbetts from the YMCA. I hang around the YWCAs. I learn from the institutions that are finding streamlines of revenue in their nonprofit to actually stay sustainable. And I see the way these entities move, and they all have their own homes. They all have found ways to have their programs wash their own faces. And that's something that's missing at the grassroots level when it comes to these organizations that do the hard work, of serving people every day. And when I looked at that, I said, I don't want to be grassroots. I don't want to be. I see all these organizations that are doing great work, and I don't want to be another organization. I want to be a staple in my community. I want to be somebody that pushes the agenda forward, bring an evolution to the revolution. And that's what this campus is about. 126 rooms, 2.5 acres of land, housing families, giving employment, social entrepreneur think tanks, a learning center, soccer field, a basketball court, all on one universal area that nonprofit organizations can come and perform their services without limitation.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted to do. I got into this nonprofit world to make an impact, not to just be another organization. If that's the case, I can go join somebody else's organization.
Right. Man, I love that. That's beautiful. I think it really does. And like you alluded to, it's not, I mean, there are several organizations that do many things around Charlotte, many things that are needed, but a lot of times it's one area. So you're talking about kind of bringing everything together where people can actually heal, people can actually be upwardly, mobile and through your community.
Absolutely. I know so many people because I was one of them dudes that was, you need help, but you got to go from the west side to the east side to the north side to the south side just to get some type of services. And then you drive all the way to the north side or the east side, and then it's a waste of money because you don't fit the criteria. So transportation gets in the way, gas gets in the way. And then when you're living check to check and when you're trying to get money here and there, however you can, you don't have time to waste or money to waste doing things that aren't going to help you out. So
absolutely,
everything needs to be in one centralized location where somebody can come and then see somebody that looks like them, that are relatable to them, that knows the struggle, knows the story, and say, okay, this is what you need. You think you need this document to get here, but you don't even need that. You need career development, right? You don't even need career development. You need some counseling. That's what you need. You need a full-time social worker. So, or you just need an EIN so you can start your business because you've been killing yourself working for somebody else and you have an idea. You just need a place to sit down and have peace and calm so you can get a startup going. And that's what we need to know. We need to provide that. And it's in every other neighborhood. It's called a co-working space. We have the hugs, the advents. It's
right.
It's never in an African-American community where it's needed at. I go to the advents and I sit there and I look around and I say, wow, if only this was in my neighborhood and my people didn't have to go to a Starbucks to get Wi-Fi, and feel uncomfortable in a McDonald's because you're there to get Wi-Fi, but you're not actually going to buy anything, right? That brings a level of uncomfortability to people, that especially in a low income situation, because we have pride like everybody else. So man, this campus is not the answer, but it is a answer to some problem.
Yeah.
But what an amazing approach to really think about it as a hub for the community. And also, like you said, so people show up and if they're looking for one thing and they need something else, you're not sending them across town. And really, I love what you were saying too about, approaching this as, you're really approaching it as a business. You're not, being limited by the thought, well, I'm another nonprofit organization. I've got to play by certain rules. I'm not going to play big. You said the word, evolutionary, revolutionary. And so to be able to take that and try to do something different. I mean, isn't it about time that we start doing things a little differently? So, I mean, love your vision for that. Love your passion for that. And just, it's so refreshing to see someone taking a different approach to it. I mean, it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the prioritizations. It's not that all of these services don't matter. All of them are part of it, but someone's got to be looking at like the top level. And it sounds like that's really what you're striving for, what your goal is. Cause like you said, you had your nightly visions, like loud and clear. Okay, I got you. How am I going to make this happen now? So love that. And would love to hear also from you, let's see, with the multiple services that go into this, like you said, the co-working parts of it and all of that, but can you talk to us some more about the housing part of it? So for anyone, will it have, residents as well that are, coming from the homeless space or the near homeless space?
Yeah. So, we have 20 families right now in the Baymont Suites where, honestly, it is an opportunity for us to kind of have a template run of what this campus is going to look like. And we've been paying rent for these families inside of the hotel for at least 3 to 4 months now, and giving them financial literacy classes, hooking them up with Charlotte Works, so they can get employment opportunities. And so we've been able to look at it and say, all right, what is our screening process? Who do we want to, where do we fit at? And I talked to Salvation Army and talked to Roof Above, and just humbly coming in of this sector of housing, right? And saying, what do you need as two institutions that do housing transitionally? Where do you need us at in this role? And right now, there's a big number of families going into homelessness that are affected by COVID-19. And we want to be that organization that says, if you have lost your job or lost your source of income due to COVID-19 and you are going into homelessness, we want to be able to be that safe space for you to come and say, I want to get back to where I was pre-COVID-19. So our first group of families will be coming from being affected from COVID-19, whether you have lost your job, cut hours, or were laid off because of that, or on unemployment because of that. We want to be able to work with those families to get them back to where they were before COVID-19. And then also partner with Salvation Army to get families that are currently in that shelter system and work them out, because they have had some wraparound services with Salvation Army. So we're not starting at ground zero. We're really coming in where they need us to pick up some of the pieces. And that's where we're coming in, humbly coming into housing and saying, where do we best fit? And not thinking that we are the answer to the crisis. We want to be a good puzzle piece.
Okay. And, you've talked about, helping people find, or maybe encouraging them to, hey, you're smart, like you can start this business. That's really what you should be doing, where you should be putting your talents and your time, or you need, counseling, or you need X and Y. Who's going to be that person? Is it a kind of a mentor relationship? Who's that person that can kind of help people navigate the resources that hopefully this community provides people?
Yeah, so we're going to be hiring case managers, also working with the county who provides social workers. I've been talking with the county about that, making sure we have social workers. Also, people like my friend Camille Stevens, who has her own social work business, and that she does that. So we'll be partnering with a lot of people in the community that do this also. But my property manager in Orchard Trace, where we started Hill Charlotte and had a 17% crime decrease in this neighborhood since we started Hill Charlotte. My property manager, she's actually the former property manager of Orchard Trace condominiums, but she is the combination of a property manager and a social worker. And that's why we were able to partner so much with her. She is the first person on my list to be able to run this property. She does amazing work as a human being. Of being able to connect people with resources, and then understanding who's just in a tough situation, who's just going through a time of hardship, but they have ambition, perseverance, they're resilient, they're hardworking, and they're open to work even harder, further their education. And those are the people that we want to work with. We do know that we're not the McLeod Center. We're not going to be having drug and A&A treatment there. That's not what we do in excellence. We want to do what we do in excellence, which is work with families that have the ambition and motivation to be better citizens of this city, and then giving them all of the resources and tools they need to go into that sector. And then we have a big ecosystem of nonprofit organizations that master what they do. Commonwealth Charlotte masters financial literacy. That's what they do. I don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. That's not what I do, and a lot of the stuff in the nonprofit world is we need to be humble enough to say, I don't do that. There's an organization that does do it, and they do it in excellence. I trust them to do that. I have a connection with people. That's what I do. People trust me. So with that relationship and that bridge building, I can introduce people to other organizations and say, I trust this organization. This person trusts me. You guys get together. I think Puff Daddy said it. I'm going to get my friends. You go get your friends, and we going to be friends. Mm-hmm. And let's do that, So that's exactly what we're going to be doing with Hill Charlotte.
Love that quote, by the way, and love this concept of you're really balancing overlap, right? So you're saying we need to be connected enough to know who's doing what, who does what well, so we can send people to the right resources. But we're also going to be respectful enough to say, all right, you need something that I don't do, so I'm not going to try to change and switch my focus because I know there's someone right over here who can help you with that. So I think, that's amazing. And again, I just such a original take, an original idea. Let's talk about how you're raising the money, who can contribute, is there a minimum? We've got some other topics to cover, but while we're on this subject of the capital campaign, want to give you the platform to plug how people can really help out.
Yeah, no, we're crowd surfing right now. So we're allowing the community to put an investment inside of the project. So we'll start a crowd surfing fundraising campaign also in the next month. And then we're also taking philanthropic and private investors. This is the way that this is an investment opportunity for people that want to get into that and have put their flag down inside of into a real project that will help not only 85 and Sugar Creek, but the city look at housing in a different light. And then we're taking philanthropic gifts from all of our donors also. This is just no one's exempt from giving right now. We are in the opportunity zone, so a lot of the investors are thrilled to see that. And the performance done. Shout out to Dr. Shantae Williams, who's our chair of Heal Charlotte. She's a venture capitalist by trade, and her profession, she's just amazing at putting the numbers together and making sure that the investment is attractive for those people that are coming in and looking to get a good return. This is an opportunity where a venture capitalist and a conduit for the community like myself can come together on a project and make the return look great for both sides. That doesn't really happen all the time, where those two worlds can collide. And this is one project where that has happened. There's a ROI and an IOI, return on your investment and an impact on your investment.
Yeah.
And that's what we're selling right now.
People think when they think investment opportunities, what's it gonna get me? But it's not only that, it's what is this gonna get my city? How is this gonna help, but my brothers and sisters in this community? And I think Charlotte has way too many luxury apartments, and I just see them over and over again. It's just new luxury apartments going up. It's like, when are we going to actually invest in and then people get pushed out of those areas, because it's too expensive. It's like, when are people going to start investing in these other areas that can actually make it a better Charlotte? Yeah, man. And this is what we need. Our minimum investor is at $250,000. For this $10 million capital campaign. $6.5 million will be used to actually acquire the hotel and purchase it. And then the other monies will be used in personnel, program servicing, and some small renovations that are going to happen to the hotel that we're moving into. Right in the 85 and Sugar Creek corridor, man. It's right now that corridor is the number 1 to number 2 hotspot in human trafficking inside of Mecklenburg County. It goes back and forth with the CAT Center downtown. Sometimes CATS is number 1, the transit center is number 1, and then sometimes 85 and Sugar Creek is number 1. It goes back and forth. And then right after that is Concord Mills. So you think about it, I think Concord Mills is exit 47, 46, 47, and then 85 and Sugar Creek is exit 41, 40. That's 5-6 exits away, where you have the top 3 human trafficking areas. So this is about revitalizing and flipping an actual corridor and changing the business acumen that happens over there, and then enticing other businesses to say, I think I want to change up. We're missing a lot of money. There's over 100 cars that pass that corridor by the hour. Just imagine if it was an attractive place for people to get off and shop and spend some money. So there's so many things that can happen over there. And this is just, like I said, this is just a puzzle piece
that goes into a larger vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really so much more than just one person or one organization. I think it takes input from everybody, local government, other nonprofits, the citizens, faith-based communities. I mean, it's not just one of those. I think it's all of us at the ground level also need to come together to make this sort of thing happen. It's everyone.
Yeah, it's ground level first. It starts at the grassroots, but I tell everybody the grassroots and the grass top, there has to be some interconnectivity that happens there. There has to be some communication that happens. The grassroots cannot do this work by themselves. They need people, and I don't like using grassroots. I say at Hill Charlotte we do grassroots work, but we do not do grassroots business. And for some reason, in these years that we live in, grassroots means that you don't know how to do business, or you haven't gotten audited, or you do a 990 easy, or it doesn't mean that you're ready to be sustainable, or you can have staff members, or it just means you work with people. And we want grassroots to mean more than that, because we need an investment from the city. And in order for grassroots to have an evolution, we have to start changing what the perception is of what grassroots business organizations are. And it's more than just doing grassroots. It's us being able to do high tier business also.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for us having an evolution of what happens, man. It's I need to make systemic change quick, like now. I have daughters, as I told you guys. So I do not want any of the children that I serve and my children to have to come up in the same type of environment that we're coming up in now.
Right.
My 9-year-old was out there marching with me for George Floyd. I would rather that not happen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible, and speaks to, again, it reminds me of there was a TED Talk. I mean, it's been a few years ago. To your point, action needs to happen now. This was already years ago, but Dan Pallotta, I believe is his name, was talking about how the difference between how nonprofits behave and the business world. I think there's a book, Uncharitable, about sort of his theory and his take on that reminds me of this divide of the people who are doing some of the most important work in the world have their hands, for some reason, culturally tied, because they have to behave in a way that no other for-profit business has to behave. So it's really cool that you're trying to take on that stigma on top of your actual, mission as well. So.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you dropped the name of the book, because I just Googled it and I will be reading it. Thank you.
I saw that TED Talk. It is really good. It really shifted like how, it shows the distinction between, for-profit businesses and non-for-profit, and how nonprofits don't get a pass. It's like viewed as a bad thing if you invest in like marketing or, fundraising. It's like, why? Like, we're trying to grow just like any other mission or business.
Yeah.
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 No, absolutely. I think a lot of the people that are at grass top organizations that let me come in their board meetings, that let me just shadow them for a little while and see how the world works at a grass top level, and just kind of gave me this vision of, it's okay for us to have streamlines of income and revenue into our organization. It's okay to not rely on grants, to fund your own programs. It's okay to fund them. It's okay to do these type of things. And I think those are things that I wouldn't have learned if a lot of my friends didn't let me in those rooms and at those tables to learn that. Because I think in a nonprofit world, there's this mentality of, we're not supposed to make money. We're not supposed to do these things. And unfortunately, money makes the world go round. Money makes the programs move. Money gets the salaries paid. And so we have to find these ways to be able to streamline funds, without leaning on government assistance to do so. How can you tell a look, like, how can you tell a family not to live check to check, but you live grant to grant? How can you tell a family you have to own a home and you don't own a building? How can you tell a family that? It's very contradictory. So
yeah, you're setting an example. Well, I mean, absolutely enjoy that book. That's I think it's a great one. It was recommended to me by Josh Jacobson at Next Stage Consulting, who does a lot of work with nonprofits, and it was a big part. I read it right when I started my business, Empathy, trying to help people in this space. That's part of why I do this podcast with Andy, was because of my interest in that world. So hope you enjoy that, but really want to spend some of our last moments talking about, are there any other ways that Heal Charlotte needs help right now? You know, is there anything else that the average person can do, maybe that can't contribute to the capital campaign, or anything like that you want to make sure people know about? Volunteer opportunities, things of that nature.
Yeah, most definitely. As we say, I am a man of faith. So as we say in my church, time, talent, and treasure. If you have the time, you got the time. We need your time. Yeah. If you have a talent, we need your talent. And if you have treasure, that's awesome. And if you have all three, that's like unicorn. But yeah, you know, all three is great, man. And I want to give a call out to creatives, the creatives of the city and nationally and abroad, man. The people that think outside of the box, the people that wake up and have no choice but to create in some type of capacity. The nonprofit world needs you. The nonprofit world, the government needs you. The local government, they need creatives. We are lacking people that are innovative and creative within this system and think outside the box. We are lacking in that. And I am a natural born creative. I went to culinary school. I created dishes. You know, I created music. I created poetry. That was what I've done. And walking into my purpose, I'm now understanding that I just don't create for certain lanes. I am just a natural born creator. And for all of the people that are creatives, the nonprofit world needs you. Come on out. And a big shout out, I want to just call out all of my Black men. The nonprofit world inside of these grassroots organizations, I need my brothers to volunteer. I need my brothers to come out. I absolutely need y'all. These kids need to see people that they relate to on an everyday basis. And it's not hard for me to get a lot of other people to come out and to volunteer. But I've been making it my business to do a call out for Black and brown men to step out and really pour into the community and pour into these children. Please do so. We need you at healcharlotte.org and all of the creatives, because we do not think in a box. There's no roof on our heads. We think we can bring a lion to the youth program instead of taking kids to the zoo. We need more people like that.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, totally tugging on my heartstrings. I mean, that's my background. So I went to art school. I worked in advertising and marketing. And so I'm starting to find those opportunities in our city. Like there are programs like Make a Mark is an event that I'm involved with. Like things are starting to shape up. But I absolutely agree with you and hear you that we have there's a gap. Those are two communities that really need to come together. The people who are trying to change the world, have an impact, and the people who are naturals at filling gaps, at thinking outside of the box about thinking things differently. Yeah, and speaking back to what we were talking about earlier, creating that a synergy so that we can get past the way that things have always been done, because you see a lot of people not entering into the nonprofit space because, quite frankly, they're not going to get paid. That if you have to volunteer all of that and that's what you do for your full-time job and then you're trying to do it all on the side, it becomes very overwhelming. So that speaks back to how we societally have to change on
Yes.
top of actually what, the missions of individual organizations are. So if anything, I just want to thank you for saying that, because I think you and I are sort of on the opposite ends of that spectrum, with now with an organization and with my background. But like you said, I see how you get it, because you are that natural creator, because you have that background. Now you just happen to find yourself in a non-profit leadership role. So thank you for that.
No, thank you for appreciating, man. I have had the pleasure to be around so many creators, poetry, dancers, artists, you name it, man. And the brain that they have, and how it works, and the innovation that they continuously have to reinvent something that has already been done over and over and over again. I look at the government, I look at our local politics, and I say, if that brain was inside of housing, if that brain was inside of CMS right now during a pandemic where there's a digital divide, we would naturally figure out what needs to happen and then say, why not?
Yeah.
We would say, why can't we? So I thank you for doubling down on me.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. Well, I know you probably got a lot going on. Where can people find you if they do want to get involved? They either contribute to the capital campaign or get involved in other ways. The creatives out there that you need. Where can they go? HealCharlotte.org. Go to our website. Also on Instagram, My Heal Charlotte, at My Heal Charlotte, on Facebook, Heal Charlotte, Google Heal Charlotte, HEAL for all you Tar Heel fans out there. It is not HEEL, okay? It is HEAL, Heal Charlotte. Yeah, Google that. Yeah, have to. And I love you Tar Heel fans. I'm not one, but I love you guys. But they get so cocky and they just think it's like everything's started like HEEL. It's like, all right, whatever, cool. But go to the website. Just learn as much as you can about the organization. Figure out where you might be able to fit at, and reach out, man. Send an email. Send what they call a DM. Send a DM, whatever you want to send, and we'll reach back out to you and we'll get in touch with you. And it'll be an honor and a pleasure to serve with you.
Thank you. Thank you for leaving us with that information, so that people know where they can go after hearing your inspiring story, because I truly believe that it's going to touch people, whoever might be listening. And would love to end, if you don't mind, with one final question for you. Your take on Charlotte's future, ending with, what's your vision? What are you hoping for the city and for Heal Charlotte 10, 15 years from now?
Yeah. So vision for Charlotte. We have a younger local government, in county commissions and in our council. We have more millennials that come out and start running, more creators that come out and start running, more people that understand policy, legislation, and how to advocate for it. And we're not just falling for headlines, but we're looking at the fine print. And as far as for Heal Charlotte campuses everywhere. That's what we're looking at right now. Heal Charlotte campuses, at least two to four of them throughout the city, and then moving on to be able to do that in other cities also. But really being able to just be innovative and creative inside of this system, to push the needle and push the envelope and change business as it's usually done. And just, everybody loving on each other, man, and healing each other, because we all need it. Amen. Love it. Hey, man, thank you for your time. This has been awesome. And I look forward to seeing those Heal Charlotte campuses pop up around the city. I know it's going to happen. Likewise, man. Thanks for having me, man. This was great. And may God bless y'all and all of your endeavors in this podcast. I thank y'all for having me on. And, may y'all have all of the viewers in the world soon, man. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. All right. No problem. We appreciate it, you. Have a great weekend, man. Yeah. God bless y'all. Thanks. Peace. You too. Thank you. Man, he's
he's got it figured out, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, he has a fresh take on it. And I don't mean that, and, it's not that the average organization isn't innovating, but I really do think he was just speaking about it differently, than what you hear sometimes in Charlotte. And really, I mean, we're talking, nationally, globally. I mean, he was getting really high level in a very inspirational way as far as just like what the expectations are and what kind of rules are set up, some of them being imaginary, for how you're supposed to operate. And for him to say, I'm not going to play by those rules if they will not serve these people that I'm trying to serve, I think is really commendable.
Yeah, and I like his perspective on the kind of holistic perspective of a healing a city and healing people, housing being at the core of it, because I mean you need a home, and I think that's where a lot of issues begin. But it's much more than that. It's like, let's give them a purpose. Let's give them stability and community, which is, I think, one thing that's lacking. There's not, a lot of the nonprofits in Charlotte work together. I think everybody wants what he is trying to do. A lot of nonprofits,
right? It's not
they're good
at collaborative. Yeah,
they're very collaborative. Here in Charlotte, but I think he's seeing it as we need something bigger than that, bigger than just a couple nonprofits, exchanging services or working together. It's like, we need something groundbreaking where people can come here and, their lives can be changed. We can transform this neighborhood and this community in a way that it hasn't been done before.
Yeah. And his vision that he spoke to at the end to not only create this change in Charlotte and try to kind of take over Charlotte with some of these campuses, but really to then serve as a model for other cities, for future projects, for Charlotte to not only do it for ourselves, but with the intention of trying to champion something that then other people can adapt.
Yeah. If you can set up that model. And I like how he's kind of framing it as a investment opportunity for people. And I think people don't often erroneously don't think of donations or contributions to nonprofits as an investment, but it really is. You are investing in your city. And what happens is these pockets, happens in every city, but you have these pockets that just don't get the funding, don't get the attention. And then you have the stark contrast, like I mentioned, luxury apartments. Nobody can afford it. It pushes everybody out.
Yeah.
And he's saying, no, you know what? This is a bad neighborhood. Like he mentioned the trafficking. We're gonna make this an attractive, somewhere where people want to pull over. People want to be a part of this community.
Yeah.
And I just love that mindset. It's not like we're not going to wait around for it to happen. We're buying this property. We're going to get people in the community, philanthropists and venture capitalists to invest and, change it from those neighborhoods on out, and as opposed to being pushed out.
Yeah. That ripple effect, that really the potential of that for him to be focused on and have selected housing because he worked his way up the layers and was like, okay, that's where, that will affect all these things. Like you said, human trafficking, there are human trafficking organizations here in Charlotte, and he is not, starting that necessarily, but he's trying to create something that will affect that and will help them in their mission, even though that's not, at a high level, his focal point. And
right.
I think that's really exciting to think about too. I mean, it's, we, through this podcast, have the opportunity to talk to a lot of different causes, a lot of different missions. Mm-hmm. And so to think about the concept of one organization maybe stepping into, like he said, I don't think he's trying to say like, I'll lead. It's more just, I'll be like, a command center. Yeah. Like kind of everyone come and do your thing, but I'll give you, I'd like to be the space where people have the opportunity to do that, even if it's not part of what I'll be doing. Right. Welcome you with open arms.
Yeah. But I mean, that's what you need. You need a visionary like that, like I mean, another easy example. I think I mentioned Steve Jobs in the last podcast, but like, I mean, Steve Jobs, it's like he was a visionary. Like, I don't think he's getting down in the nitty gritty in coding, obviously, but or he didn't. But you have to have, I think it's somebody that says we can do things differently in a better way.
Yeah.
I think that's
and exciting to see that there's someone here in Charlotte that is, I think, taking on a huge task. And what a nice guy though too, just personally, like you could just tell, like no pretense. He's just trying to do what he thinks he's called to do, because he's got those 3 girls that he wants to grow up in a world that's not like the one he grew up in. And that's really honorable.
Yeah, you can see how his past really has played a role into what he's trying to do. And I think he brought up a good point about how there needs to be people who have gone through that, who can be there to help. I mean, like, not saying that other people can't help in a way, but I think having people who understand what people are going through, people who are in that stage of life, somebody who's been through that, can walk alongside them and say, hey, I've been there, and here's some resources. Here's what got me through. I think is an important piece of it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, great conversation. So happy we were able to connect with him and share that story. I mean, he shared lots of different resources and ideas and places to find them. What else do we need the listeners to know, Andy, before we sign off?
Yeah, so you can go to healcharlotte.org, and as he said, it's HEAL Charlotte.org, and they have links they actually have a whole page for their capital campaign if you want to learn more about this property that they're looking at purchasing and how you can contribute. Really cool. They have some videos on there as well talking more about their mission. And follow them on social media. You just look up Heal Charlotte. You should be able to find them on Instagram, Facebook. So check it out. Get involved.